Hey everyone, this is Gary Kay. You're looking at a special edition of my Rants and Raves video cast. I have two special guests today. The first is Cynthia Menna, who's the Global Vice President of Business Development for ADI Global. Good morning, Cynthia. How are you?
Good morning, Gary. Great. Thanks for having me today. Appreciate it.
And also I have Jeffrey Wolf, who is with Herman ProAV. Of course, everyone knows who Herman ProAV is. Jeff, how are you?
Doing great, Gary, and great to be here.
Well, there's, as everyone probably knows by now, there's been a recent acquisition, and I'm curious, Jeff, what attracted you to ADI?
Yes, Gary. So, I've been asked that question a lot over the past few months, and the first thing that comes to mind is that it was all about Cynthia, and now I have the ability to work with her every day. So that was the first exciting thing. After that, Gary, it became apparent after our first meeting that our organizations had very similar cultures. And as we know, people and culture are the foundation of any business. And it was clear that our cultures were aligned and ADI exemplified the same underlying components that Herman has thrived on: high energy, results oriented, and fun. And so that became pretty apparent very quickly. For us, that ultimately translates to the customer and our shared common goal of delivering compelling value and benefit to our customers while providing outstanding customer experience. So we really had a lot of great alignment there. The other thing that came to mind was ADI's vision. They very early on communicated a very clear vision for us, and that was to leverage Herman's brand and their strong reputation for so many years in the AV industry, and infuse it with lots of resources and best-in-class capabilities to really accelerate our growth and provide additional value and benefit to our mutual customers.
I mean, I'd ask the same question of you, Cynthia, because although similar industries, this takes you in sort of a new direction for both companies, really. You can really leverage some different resources there. So I'm guessing that was part of the decision-making factor.
Yeah, we kind of joke when we make the comment about working with each other, but really, it was a company that we had been following. We admired their growth. We admired the brand. We had been hearing great things both from their customer partners and from our mutual supplier partners. And you're right. It's definitely from a joint better together kind of perspective. It really enables us in ADI's core business to help us grow into a new category and really help expound upon our existing AV business. And the same thing goes for Herman. A lot of leverage in terms of scale, the ability to help their customers grow and become more efficient. And again, ultimately, it does come down to the fact that from a cultural perspective, from a performance perspective, we felt like we could certainly collectively add incredible amount of value and resources to our customers, because at the end of the day, that's who really matters in all of this. So again, something we had really admired, and they have been a well-respected brand as well.
Yeah, and our industry is unlike yours, Cynthia. Our industry has been built from no standards. We basically built it without any standards being out there. So I'm guessing I kind of already know the answer to this question, Jeffrey. What is the most significant benefit ADI brings to Herman?
Yeah. So Gary, there's lots of things. I think that what stands out the most is, ADI is a amazing organization that brings, resources in terms of expertise, best in class capabilities across all facets of their organization, and to really leverage that on top of the Herman, the ProAV offering to really help elevate our business and our offering and our value to our customers is very, very compelling for our organization.
Yeah, and same question for you, Cynthia.
I think from our perspective, another big part of the business, now we have a best in class, line card. When you really combine from a low voltage perspective, our mutual line card's a best in class, line card that comes together, a field services organization that has, decades of experience. And also I think really importantly is a service business that we really want to build up and help our customers, help their customers continue to leverage to grow into the AV space, but also, as we oftentimes say yes to more projects. So there's several, again, capabilities that, Herman brings. And then again, we kind of put us together, expertise, education, scale, 100+ locations to provide, just-in-time inventory, which is really, now we have a unparalleled footprint in the AV space, just from a warehousing perspective, plus the services piece. We really look to become an indispensable partner to our customers and to our supplier partners.
And why do you feel like the Pro AV market is really the next frontier for? I mean, you've already kind of been in Pro AV, Cynthia. Although that's not been the core business, you've been getting into Pro AV. You've been getting into the high-end residential as well. But what do you see sort of as that opportunity in Pro AV for ADI? Where's the fit?
Yeah, we all kind of talk about, whether it's the AV industry or the security industry, this merging of technologies. And the fact of the matter is that that's happened, right? I mean, everything is on the network. Whether it's the AV system talking to the security system or vice versa. There's been so many, even with the recent, the pandemic and market conditions, we're seeing kind of that merge, with, a thermal detection that ties into digital signage and so forth. It really is a category that, even unbeknownst to some of our core customers are in already, whether they're doing mass notification systems or, EVAC systems, they're in the audio category. It's really helping them again, kind of drive that and better hone that expertise. And on the flip side, in the Pro AV space, we're seeing a ton of demand for security technology that relays over into the AV space as well. So I think at the end of the day, there's just so much merging of technology going on. We're at this, not even a crossroads, we're at this point where there's just a ton of opportunity to leverage our mutual core competencies to better both of our businesses.
Yeah, and Jeff, you talked about the culture, the similarities of the culture. Sort of how do you define that culture, and what is the impact the integrators will see from that, you think?
Yeah, great question. And so, first, Gary, I think it's just the culture, the commonalities of the culture in accomplishing, in results oriented, in bringing value, the customers first, and how we can improve the experience of the customer, and really just the overall focus and high energy of the organizations to achieve goals and to deliver more value back to the industry. That's the first thing. And so actually right now we're on the heels, we're about to launch our first collaborative campaign. And the campaign is bigger, better, and stronger together. And which ultimately means enabling us to better serve our customer. And so through a multitude of different ways. And that bigger, better, stronger together is several things that Cynthia already touched on, but more products now, a completely well-rounded out line card that's a very compelling offering, more distribution facilities to provide inventory closer to our customers for reduced transit times, faster service, et cetera. With that, really infusing more resources into the labor business to have more technicians in more places and more offerings. So these are all things that we're developing now together to ultimately enable our customers to achieve more. And that's our purpose. That's our mantra, to make sure that we're delivering more differentiating value and more benefit back to our customers and to the industry. So we're really excited with this combined offering now and having the organizations join together, that truly the bigger, better, stronger together is all about what we're bringing back to the customer and to the AV industry.
Yeah, and I think ADI's, just as a side note, I think ADI's history in offering services, recurring service revenue, and sort of the way that they've sold that as a value is going to be a very interesting and a compelling story for the AV community. Speaking of which, the community part of it, Jeff, your family's been in this business. I mean, your dad, your brother David, you're well known in the industry as well. You're moving from being a family-oriented business, which has been part of your marketing mantra and sales mantra for a long time, and now you're part of a much larger organization, and you're part of the ADI Resideo family, but at the same time, it's not the Hermans anymore. So what how's it going to change, and what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we talked a lot about that, and there's a lot of advantages to being a small, agile, entrepreneurial organization that we can make decisions quickly and really move very quickly. Yet, what we're learning is that joining an organization like ADI, nothing takes the place of having these best-in-class capabilities and resources behind us to really fuel everything that we're trying to accomplish. And look, with everything, there's bad and good, but clearly in this case, we are just thrilled to be part of the ADI Resideo family, and we're seeing every day the benefits of our combined organizations and what we'll be able to accomplish. And as we plan strategically for next year, there's just a world of opportunities out there for us because now we're part of ADI that otherwise we wouldn't have had the benefit as Herman standing alone.
I mean, I see, half a dozen clear benefits to the integrators with a combined company like this coming from the direction that ADI came from, which is very unique. This hasn't existed in our industry from the standpoint of the history of recurring revenue services and security and things like that. But I'm curious, Cynthia and Jeff, for that matter, what do you see as sort of like, if you had to pick your top 2 or 3 things that the integrators are going to benefit from the combined ADI Herman organization, what would you say are those things they're going to get most excited about? Maybe is a different way to put it.
So I think, looking at that from both sides, right? Because we're looking at it from our security customers and from, the AV side. I think on the security side, again, is, the ability for us as a services business, with, engineering and subcontracted labor to help them grow into a category that they may not be comfortable in, that they may not have the expertise to engage with. Like I said before, say yes to more business. I also think, from my perspective, our footprint and scale drives a lot of, value. Jeffrey named off a couple of them: transit times and freight charges, and the ability. We know it's difficult, in planning projects that things pop up, and that you have to, sometimes pivot at the last minute, and getting your hands on products is important, right? So I think that's a big value that we drive from an industry perspective. I also think there are a lot of benefits from an educational perspective. Particularly pre-COVID and during COVID, post a lot of training classes and events that are both business and product focused, and then the combination of our supplier partners. We've seen collaboration amongst our supplier partners. I think there's a ton of opportunity and upside there, and again, just field expertise now too. I mean, now we've got this incredible field sales team that mutually do bring a ton of experience to both the security space and to the ProAV space.
Yeah, speaking of which, Jeff, I'm curious myself. Do you see more of the ADI products coming to the traditional Herman integration community, or do you see more of the Herman ProAV products going to the ADI side? Because I'm curious if you see, I definitely see both sides, but I'm curious as to see who's going to benefit first the most.
Yeah, there's some great synergies there. I think in terms of numbers, from a category perspective, Gary, probably more categories will go to the ADI side, but yet we'll be the beneficiaries, Herman ProAV will, of some really top product lines and manufacturers that we didn't otherwise have access to, and categories as well. So it's a win-win, no doubt, from that perspective, and one that we're very excited about.
And that's what I've heard integrators talk about, actually, is the fact that they're going to, in the AV side, the commercial AV side, getting access to the security side, because they'll end up working alongside of them while doing an install and wonder why they're not part of that. And you mentioned it earlier, Cynthia, about you're already doing mass notification, and mass notification uses the same sort of audio equipment that sound masking does and that distributed audio does. And there's, now there are places where you can use the same for both. I'm curious if there's anything else you think I haven't asked you, each one of you, that you think would benefit for the integrator community to know.
So I think, Gary, just in closing, ADI talks a lot about building indispensable partnerships with customers and manufacturer partners. And Herman has always prided ourselves on building strong partnerships and delivering differentiating value through our procurement services and labor services. And so the combination of the combined organization is really, I think, at the end of the day, it's the customer who's going to win out of all this. And that's our goal, is for the customer to win. and they're going to win in so many ways that's going to bring more value and more benefit and more cost savings to their organizations and make it easier for them to do business, while we're really helping them in two of the most critical areas of their organizations: procurement for the products they need for their projects, and making sure they have the right labor resources and technical resources on their jobs. And so I think that combined offering, which is unique in itself, now with the combined Herman ADI organization, is really going to take it to the next level. I know that has our team and the ADI team very excited for 2021 and what's going to come as the year approaches.
Yeah, I agree, Gary. I think 1 + 1 should really equal 5 in this scenario. We really do see a ton of upside from a branding perspective, from line card perspective, from a value and services angle as well. And Jeffrey's right. We both are very performance-driven businesses, and really pride ourselves on providing undeniable support to our customers. And we both have been the beneficiaries of having long-standing both supplier and customer relationships that go back decades. And we look forward to continuing that and to continue to kind of grow that customer and helping those customers grow as well and be more successful, and giving them additional options and resources to be to continue to show growth and thrive.
And will the Herman name be folded into the ADI name, or will Herman still exist separately?
Yeah, Herman will still, we'll be leveraging the Herman ProAV brand.
I was going to say, because it has such a great brand. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. So Herman ProAV will be the AV division for ADI. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot to ask that up front, and I apologize. I was curious about that, but I think that's a good decision. Congratulations to both of you, both organizations as well. Congratulations on what you pulled off, because this is it's hard to pull off a merger or an acquisition in our industry at all, and to do it the way that y'all have done it is
that's for sure.
will potentially be a model for others to come, because it hasn't happened very often where it's gone this smoothly. So congratulations, and I look forward to seeing what happens. I'm sure we'll talk more, and whenever we finally get to go back to shows, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah, we get to actually see people and talk to them. In the meantime,
hopefully
it's going to be like this constantly. But thank you for everyone for joining us. Of course, both these companies are easy to find. You can find ADI Global at adiglobal.com, if I remember correctly, and Herman. Is it HermanProAV.com? Is that right there, Jeff? I want to make sure I got that right. And of course, you can check out all their line cards at each of the associated sites, but at the same time, they both have access to both. So congratulations again. Thanks for watching. And everyone, if you want to see the rest of our videocast or podcasts that we've done in 2020, just go to raypubs.com. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Gary. Thanks for having us. Good to see you again.